Alright, so guys, a new week means a new video. I'm the MDC and MDCRX, and if you follow my Instagram page, you'd realize that this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. And you'd also know that this week we're talking about investing in your mental health. Now, if you pay attention to my stories, you'll see that we have a special guest today, and I don't lie to you guys, so I'll bring on my special guest in the next couple seconds. 5, 4, 3. 5, 4, 3. Alright everyone, I said I had a special guest, and here he is, Mr. Chad Lambert, licensed associate clinical psychologist. He's here to help us talk about investing in your mental health. Say hello to the people, Mr. Chad Lambert.
Hi everyone.
Alright, so yeah, as I said, he's here to help us talk about mental health more. And let's just get right into the interview with our first question. So, would you say that people are more open to conversations about mental health now than they were, say, back in the day or so on?
Yeah, definitely. For sure, I would say that we are much more comfortable talking about it now. However, I feel like we're at this weird middle ground where we're comfortable to a degree. So we're fine with talking about how it can impact or how it has impacted different people. So how our mental health, that is, has been impacted by, let's say, coronavirus, or how you could say this person is depressed or this person is anxious. But we are not quite comfortable or open when it comes to talking about our own mental health issues, I believe. So I think we're much more open to talking about the mental health issues of others, but when it's time to kind of reflect and think about our own mental health, we tend to be a little bit scared about or maybe a little bit uncomfortable going there.
Do you think that is because of some stigma people have about mental health and people being, sorry to use this word, but like mad or like, you know, crazy or stuff like that? Do you think it's because of that stigma they don't want to associate it with themselves, to say, oh, I'm not like that, but they're fine with talking about other people, but they're not associating themselves with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely that stigma that's still there in terms of, when they hear mental health, they think of schizophrenia, which is the far end of the spectrum, or they think about somebody who is extremely depressed and can't function. Or
exactly,
because
I don't think
bipolar.
people understand. Yeah, I don't think people understand that it's a spectrum. It's not like on and off or a black and white. It's definitely a spectrum. So you can have little mild symptoms or so on, right? Exactly.
Right, and then when you talk about the symptoms and these disorders, that's mental illness. But everybody has mental health, and then you have mental wellness, which is what everybody wants to aspire towards. So if you see the three on one spectrum, then everybody would kind of, I think, understand it better than just saying that, when they hear mental health, they think of the illness. Or they think that somebody's sick, when in fact everyone has mental health.
Exactly. All right, and I heard that you touched on a point earlier where you were saying something about COVID-19 and so on. So do you think, well, just tell us about like the mental health impact that this pandemic or COVID-19 can have on anyone.
Mm-hmm. As in, you're asking if there's an impact? If I believe there's an impact?
Yes, if you believe there's one, and if there's one, what kind of impact do you think it could have, and how would it affect that?
Okay, well, yeah, definitely. So I think if we go on social media or if we just talk to our friends and family, I think we're realizing that, you know, this whole pandemic has affected our mental health in many different ways. And in fact, I think it is what's helping to reduce some of the stigma towards mental health, because everybody's realizing that, okay, yes, we're living in a pandemic. This is a different time. We have to be readjusting, and that's resulting in persons being more stressed, more anxious, more depressed, and so it's bringing mental health to the forefront, I think. And even out here in Jamaica, since the pandemic, a lot of schools or organizations or agencies have approached me and my colleagues in terms of trying to get us to speak to the offices, to speak to the students or the teachers about mental health and how they can prepare, or how they can manage the different stressors that are associated with the pandemic.
Okay, so I think I lost you a little bit there, but
Yeah.
we do get the gist of what you were saying. But let me just ask you this. Do you think there's adequate systems in place for the mental health care of Jamaicans?
Sadly, from my viewpoint, I don't think there is. I think mental health treatment is still very inaccessible in Jamaica, especially to the general public. I just don't think, in terms of like insurance support for psychotherapy, or it's just the easy availability of therapists or psychologists or other mental health specialists. It's just not, even in the hospitals, they're not readily available. I think most times you'll see a psychiatrist, and which is fine because they are also equipped to handle mental health and mental illnesses, but just in terms of having a psychologist on staff or mental health support on staff, it's very few. And even as a professional, I sometimes struggle with referrals in terms of, yes, I have a lot of colleagues that I can readily refer people to, but when it comes to those referrals that need very heavily discounted sessions or more affordable sessions, it's hard. And sometimes we as professionals, we can offer like discounts or payment plans to certain individuals, but on a wider scale, I think it's still very, it's still a huge problem. And I think that's because the public, or maybe the government, undervalues mental health treatment.
I don't really think they do undervalue it, because again, it's still that stigma of, I'm not seeing it, so it's not important. It's like out of sight, out of mind. I'm not seeing you limping. I'm not seeing you ball for pain in your joints. I'm not seeing you, I'm not seeing result like, numbers or things like that. So I don't feel like the government is putting as much in as they would say the other illnesses. Exactly. But since this is so, how we as Jamaicans now, how can we look into ourselves and invest into our own mental health?
Yeah, so, and I think it's very important that we do find different ways to invest. And before we even get to the point of seeing a psychologist or, going to therapy or getting an assessment, there are so small things that you as an individual can do. If you do believe that the eventual goal is to see a therapist, then what you can do is start looking around, start asking friends, start asking family members, start asking coworkers who they know. Go online, go on social media, Google psychologists in Jamaica, try to identify potential persons that you would see. Get the information that you need in terms of the cost, the location. Sometimes you can even make connections. I've had persons who have approached me on social media and asked me general questions, so that it's almost like they're feeling out, okay, if I'm the right fit for them. And sometimes they can also ask, okay, is it that this is the only rate? Do you have a discount? Do you have a student discount? Do you have a payment plan? So just kind of like educating yourself on all the possible options that you do have. Once you do that, finding out, okay, how are you going to save towards it? How are you going to budget towards the mental health? And that's something that's pretty difficult for a lot of persons, because they don't quite see the value in it.
Exactly.
So you can ask yourself, okay, how valuable is my mental health? If I'm noticing that it might be affecting my functioning at work or at school or with the family or with your partner. So if it's having such and such impact on your life, how much do you think you can invest in getting that corrected?
Okay. All right. I definitely do agree with you there. I definitely agree with you with all those points. That's good. And going above a point of investing, like a full-fledged investment, in this time, it's very common for persons to be experiencing, as I said, some mental health tolls, like a little thing here and there, different stresses of life, especially in this time. So, are there any tips or things that you want to share in managing, say, stress because of this pandemic period, or just mental health management in this time?
Sure. Like I have a couple that I think can be quite useful in this time. So even if if you're on the path of investing your time and your money towards bettering your mental health, and you're not quite there, or you don't even want, either you're not quite there in terms of ready to see a psychologist, or you just don't want to do so right now in your life, there are little things that you can do on your own. I think the main thing during this pandemic is that with coronavirus going around, a lot of us feel like we don't have much control in our lives because we have curfews here, restrictions there. We have all these rules that we have to abide by. A lot of persons feel like their life has been put on hold. So it feels like a loss of control. So how are some ways that you can regain certain elements of control in your life? And it can go as small as to creating a morning routine. So in the morning when you get up, you maybe exercise, or you turn on your favorite music and you set the mood for the day, or you pray, or whatever it is you find will give you a jump start to the day. And something that you can say, okay, I have control over my morning routine. So I know that on this morning I'm going to do X, on that morning I'm going to do Y, and I'm going to stick to it as much as possible. So finding small elements in your life that you can control can help you to feel a bit more, I think, more confident, more reassured that, okay, even though there are some aspects that feel out of control right now, there are other elements that I can control. So definitely the control is the first aspect. I think then the second aspect has to deal with outlets to express yourself. So how do you really feel about the pandemic? What emotions are you feeling? A lot of the times we go through day in, day out, we're feeling stressed, we're feeling angry, we're feeling agitated, we're feeling sad, we're feeling anxious, and we don't tell anybody, or even if it's just expressing it by yourself, it just doesn't come out, it stays inside. So finding different outlets can include journaling. I have a client that she wants to become an artist, so she will write songs in relation to how she feels.
That's nice.
Also, you can record voice notes in your phone and play it back to kind of really hear how you sound and how you feel. And then you have the typical finding somebody who you feel comfortable talking to and sharing your feelings with.
Pen pal or a little friend that you can talk to or so on. Yeah, definitely. That's some good ways. And I find that in this period too, we want to try and stay away from being isolated as much as possible. So that's one very important step. Finding someone you can talk to. So, because being too isolated in this time can be detrimental, because you don't have anything to do to stay by yourself in your house. So, yeah. Yeah.
So emphasizing that physical distance isn't the same as social distance. Like you can stay socially connected while physically distant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There we go.
So that's definitely important in terms of managing your stress. Finding different ways to remain social. There's also another thing that I think is quite useful, and I would like your help with it.
Okay.
A lot of the times we are told, oh, we need to think more positively or think positive, and sometimes that can be annoying. Like you're in a space where sometimes you just feel a lot of negative thoughts are popping up. It's hard to sometimes control the thoughts that we have. A lot of times they just pop up randomly, right? So instead of pressuring yourself or pressuring others to think positively, I prefer to say, all right, when the negative thoughts come, why not challenge some of them, right? Or why not challenge all of them? So whenever a negative thought comes, ask yourself, okay, is this really true?
Okay.
What evidence do I have to support this thought?
Yeah.
Right? And then if you have evidence that supports it, what evidence do you also have that doesn't support it? Because for every evidence, there's always two sides. So there's always at least one thing you can find that goes against what you're thinking. Yeah. So I'm gonna say a statement, and I want you to try and come up with as many ways. Okay. Well, maybe just one or two.
All right.
One or two things that you can say that that goes against the thought.
All right.
Okay. So this is a common one that I've been hearing since COVID.
All right.
Which is because of coronavirus, I feel like my life is put on hold. So I can't get to accomplish my goals or my dreams. So my life is put on hold.
I mean, what am I supposed to again say? What comes to my mind?
No, so that's the negative thought.
That's the negative thought that comes.
No, I want you to challenge that negative thought with another thought that goes against it.
Is this true? Now, I do have that thought come up, actually, so let's just go through with this reel. So, is this true, though? It does feel true in the moment. However, whilst this pandemic has been going on, I've been able to, accomplish some things. I've gotten some certificates. I've gotten certificates in basic life saving, in social media marketing, so on and so forth. I even started this channel. I started another channel over at MDC Vids on YouTube. So I've actually shameless plug. I've actually accomplished some stuff that maybe if the pandemic wasn't here, I probably wouldn't tap into. So that's one big evidence against that thought.
Exactly, and to me that evidence sounds so much more weighty than what you said before, which is it feels like it's true. So it feels like exactly. It feels like
because when I look at it, it's like I really wanted to go different things like carnival and other things, but and you just want to go with your friends after 8 o'clock and do this and do that. But you can't. So a lot of the times in the moment when you feel a bit lonely or so, you might come up with that thought, my life is on hold. But as you see, when you challenge it now, that's when you realize, maybe not.
Yeah, is it really on hold? Is your life fully on hold? There might be aspects of it that you have to pause, or you can't do right now, or you have to find another way to do it. But is your life really on pause?
Yeah. And the thing that you find is that if you actually find evidence to say that your life is on, or evidence for the negative thought, along with finding evidence against it, is if you find very weighty evidence, change it. It's like, how do I change this? Exactly. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I definitely don't understand.
There you go.
Yeah, so these are some helpful tips. So thank you very much for that. And
sorry, I just remembered one last thing. Just in terms of trying to get your anxiety levels down, or trying to get yourself to relax a bit more. There are a lot of relaxation techniques that you can do by yourself. So you might have to look them up to get the instructions. But you have progressive muscle relaxation. And then you could just look up relaxation techniques, and you could see some of them you may need professional help with, but others you could do by yourself that involve deep breathing. And then you also have apps, such as I've tried Tapping Solution. That's a good app. Calm, that's another good app that I've tried.
I know about that one.
I've heard Headspace is a really good app. I haven't tried that one. I think it might be paid. I'm not sure if it's fully free, or maybe part of it is free, or you have to pay for the rest. But the other two that I mentioned, a good chunk of it is free, so you can try those out as well. Okay,
well, yeah, I think I might try some of those apps, or one of those apps. The free ones definitely. Because sometimes I find myself to be a bit strong. So yeah, I'll definitely try that. So again, thank you for those tips, and thank you for coming here on Fun Fact Fridays with MDC. So I really appreciate you being here. Really appreciate the advice and a little interview time. So say goodbye to the audience and have a great night.
Bye guys, have a good night, take care.
Okay, alright everyone, so that was Chad Lambert. licensed associate clinical psychologist, here to talk about mental health. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like it, just like it. If you have any questions, you can always comment and or DM me or even Chad. He should be open to answer some of you guys' questions. Please be appropriate though. But yes, also I'm asking you guys to share this video. I always like when you do that each week. Thank you so much for watching and have a great mental health week. And I have mental health day tomorrow. See you next week.